So we're going to go deeper, the interlocking templates. We have within the system, we have hierarchy, replication, we have the ignition of continuing cycles of entropy, and nothing ever really goes anywhere or changes. There's just activity. And underneath and through that, there'll be threads of really beautiful creativity, but they're rare. And when they happen, human beings tend to really celebrate when that is given to us, whether it's music or an art form or a dance or a play or a creative experience. Those are the threads of our wholeness and our sovereignty moving through an otherwise pretty screwed up situation. So the system has its branches. We have religion, we have education, we have legal judicial, we have agricultural, which is about how we are impacted by food. You walk around today, I walk around in Philadelphia today, and 60 to 70% of the population is walking around. They are more than obese. This is a result of what an agricultural system and addiction to sugar and emotional distress that keeps people triggered, emotionally triggered, so they're looking for comfort food, so they're eating carbohydrates and they're drinking alcohol and they're smoking and they're doing all these things to manage their stress, and they are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's a boon for the medical system and healthcare, because now you have all these really big sick people walking around. They've got all this inflammation going on in their bodies, and they're either going to be really ripe for a long-term dialysis, or they're going to get cancer, because the basis of cancer in the body is chronic inflammation. Then there's the financial system. And then they're overarching all of this is the system of separation's self-declared ownership of you and me, this entire planet, and all the resources. And if you really can't see that, then make a session with me for, an appointment with me for a private session, and we'll talk. We'll talk about ownership. We'll talk about monarchy. We'll talk about the families that were installed here with that God gave them the right to rule. I mean, it's just, the story is about ownership, which is a completely giant step away from the sacred spiral and the sacred circle of life. So our unconscious and subconscious interlinking platforms are our beliefs about what the world is, how it works, our place in it, what we're allowed to experience, what we're not allowed to experience. There's a whole unconscious and subconscious caste system in your body. Very few of us ever grow enough life charge to just screw this. This is not who I'm meant to be. I'm not going to play out this caste system role. Thank you very much. Then there are the rules. Rules upon rules upon rules upon rules upon rules. And from, you get, the minute you set foot into a school, you're on the rules path. And then there's the consequences path of when or if you should be born with enough life force and memory to just go, wait a minute, wait. I don't think that's a belief I want. Oh, wait. I'm obeying this rule. Why? Did anybody ask me? Like, who asked me if I wanted this rule? I don't remember being asked. No, I'm not interested in that rule. So when you're then comes the consequences piece. And that's when the guilt, shame, judgment, and terror, they're going to try to keep you in the box. And they have consequences for people who keep trying to get out of the box. But that's becoming a thing of the past. So we have done an examination of these primary templates: rejection, abandonment, and jealousy, which have to do with a core wound, punishment, sacrifice, and loss, withholding pleasure, cruelty, and the experience of freezing time. For most people, in the last couple decades, 9/11 has been a really huge moment where we became frozen in time from trauma. And when we're in that state, we're in post-traumatic time disorder. We can't forget, and we don't want to remember, or we want to remember and never let it go. Always remember, never forget. We want to hold on to the trauma, and we have to ask ourselves, why would we choose to do that? Then we have misperceptions, assumptions, and lies. The whole dynamic of insecurity being the fulcrum that balances out the experience of entitlement and indebtedness, and that's not just about money. And then we've talked about attention, connection, and disappointment, and how you can be a heat-seeking missile really looking to make a connection, but because you're coming from an inauthentic place with your own energy, the attention that you get leads to disappointment and not to a good connection. So all of these are tied into and linked into. You can have intrigue involved in any one of those major templates. You can have self-betrayal going on in any one of those major templates. And you can also have deception. So we're going deeper now because those first 6 have a lot to do with our own personal emotional experience. And now we're looking at, how do my emotional states and my choices move into the area of where I am putting myself in a position of self-betrayal through intrigue and deception. And I'm running one of these little templates to boot. Asking where and how we go into self-betrayal and why. Asking where and how we find intrigue interesting, and as a path to self-betrayal or the betrayal of someone else, which may include deception. That whole dynamic serves the system and feeds the beast. So if you look at any one of the areas that we talked about, you will find that people in those areas of life and in those activities have all their little mini dramas going on day after day after day after day after day. What I want you to understand is all of that is just one big snake eating its own tail. It is a closed system. It is entropic. No new energy comes in, and so it is finite, and it goes into collapse. And that's what we're seeing around us now. We're seeing collapse of our consensus reality, and we have no idea where this is going to go. So we're looking at our collective unconscious self-betrayals within any of the system's branches of controlled activity: religion, education, judicial, right? We'll go back over the list. If you come into the program, you get to look at this presentation as many times as you want to. There's the list again. So it's a hierarchical and unoriginal replication, closed binary energy system that only and always kicks off another cycle of entropic self-destruction because it is a closed system. New energy is not allowed in. Change is terrifying. This is what the system will, this is a belief. Change is hard, change is difficult, yada, yada, yada. And so when we're caught up in that dynamic, you can see what this box does. And I love this image. This is an image of the Sri Yantra. It's a meditation image in one of the Eastern religions. And this was generated at a time. It's a beautiful symbol because it communicates all that I'm talking about, but it's done visually and symbolically. So if you were on a path to, at the very minimum, enlightenment, you would be given this image to meditate on. And I've just explained why. All right, so now we're looking at choices. How are we spinning in duality perception with regard? Let's just use political intrigue or information deception. You can use relationship intrigue and deception. You want to ask yourself, how or are you betraying your wholeness? How do you trip over an unconscious pattern of self-sabotage that takes you out of sovereignty and out of relationships that are operating as conscious co-creations. I mean, when you really do this work, you are able to see these patterns, and you repeat them, you keep looping them. I mean, we are designed to come out of this. So we keep looping until something just goes, wait a minute, what did I just say? What did I just do? Where did that come from? What's going on here, right? And then you're on your treasure hunt to reclaim your own wholeness and sovereignty. And so the other question we're looking at right now is, what part of the banging around in the smaller templates, look at that big fat white diamond shape in the middle of that diagram. What is that? How do we betray the collective that is all of us seeking to be whole, just to experience it? Because we're not broken. We're trying to get back to that place where we can just relax and experience our own wholeness and our spiritual sovereignty. So you got to look at your choices. What do you consume by way of food, entertainment, infotainment? What are you consuming by your choices in terms of any educational debt, ownership debt, religious doctrine? All of those things carry, let's say, currency of belonging and being accepted. Well, is that where you are? What are the cultural and sexual fads that are part of what you are consuming as energy that change the way you feel, think, and the way that your body functions? The least of which is being obviously sick. And how do we betray the collective that is all of us? So emotions are the glue. They hold you together, they nourish your spirit, or they tear your life apart. Who is making your emotional glue? Is it you? How do you know?